clock has stopped.
I guess. Let's call the meeting, let's start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Jill.
Jeremy McCart,
Here.
Bernie Paparad,
Here.
Roseanne Bozak, Travis Dunlap,
Rosa.
Gordon McCormick,
Here.
Nicole Millerini, Aaron Adcock.
Here. Approval of minutes, January 8th, 2024.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, Jill.
Bernie Paparad,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yes.
Aaron Adcock,
Yes.
Jeremy McCart.
Yes. Communication bills and expenditures, any town code updates? No. For the officers, community staff.
Another.
Chuck, anything,
No, I'm sorry.
are you good or anything you need to talk about right now?
Just one item that I have is this USW Training Center.
Okay.
You know, I have some drawings on it, and they're doing some demolition on some minor things and going up with a building, and Shem was working on the drainage, and we finally got that part ironed out. My question is, does this need to be submitted to this board, or can they just go ahead, you know, so as to make the state releases? Is that something that this board wants to look at and make a determination?
Has anything been submitted to us as of yet? Like,
To who?
has anybody from the plan seen anything
No one's seen, I just got these drawings, I just got them today, actually, so. I just wanna know what the board thinks the procedure should be on this stuff.
Since I don't really know the scope of the project, I mean, is it a huge project, or is this something that you can explain easily, or is it?
Well, they're building a training facility on that property, they're doing a retention for drainage. They're demoing gazebo, and the parking lot is gonna be demoed. And it's gonna be on that site there.
What's-
I can get copies.
What's the address? Is,
Shady side.
Is this a trading site and shady site?
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. So I know what you're
This
talking
is a
about now.
parcel right there.
Okay. So there's no. They're demoing current buildings. And then building new buildings on that same site.
That's the scope of work here. I'm sorry to catch you, I just.
No, it's okay. Demolition of existing gazebo, 2 sheds, 1 building, 1 garage, and parking lot. Construction of a training facility building. Addition and parking lot on parcel number 6, and construction of proposed stormwater basin. I'm guessing that the amount that is on here is probably gonna trigger us. If I remember correctly, it's something to the tune of 50%. Does that sound right to you? That if they're changing more than 50% of
It's
let's say
been a
the
little
site
while.
plan.
Did I hear a retention pond also? For drainage?
Yes.
Stormwater,
This definitely has to be here, because you got a lot of kids out there.
Yeah,
yeah, I would say when they have a site plan available for us. That we should probably have them at, assuming that they wanna roll on this. that
I'll
they
tell
wanna-
them, yeah, I'll tell them what I have, and then,
I mean,
I'll give my information to Jill,
Okay,
and then I'll have them come before you. And you guys get determination on
okay,
on what they propose to do there.
yeah, sounds like there's gonna be a big change to that property. I don't know if you're responsible. for it.
Sorry to make this.
No, you're okay, you just got it, this is what it is.
What's a little safer?
Travis, anything?
No, sir.
Roseanne? None? Blake, do you have anything? We're gonna, so under old business, town code chapter 15, we're gonna hold that to the end here. But I do wanna talk about this because these gentlemen here might end up at another one of our meetings. At the January council meeting, the council basically informed us that it was our decision as to what we wanted to do, if we wanted to change the time of the meeting. So if everybody still wanted to go with the proposed change of meeting at 6 P.M. as opposed to 7 P.M. moving forward, and we wanna try that out for a while and see if that works for everybody.
I'm good.
You okay with that, Travis? Yeah. Good? Okay, you just wanna make note for that, because the next meeting will be scheduled at 6 P.M.
Mhm.
New business preliminary hearing for Taco Bell. Welcome,
Hi.
I'm very excited.
Yes.
I don't know if one of you wanna talk about it and kind of give us a rundown of,
Sure. Right, I'm Matt Ray, I'm the architect for Natron Corporation. This is Jim Sauer, he's the principal manager of Natron Corporation. They own a bunch of Taco Bells from basically, where's your furthest one west? Hebron, now we have a port here on Michigan. Spotted all along, well, 16 stores.
Yes.
All along I-94. And so Jim found this piece of property in Burns Harbor and he wants to develop a Taco Bell. In addition to the Taco Bell, since he does move a lot of equipment around, he wants to do a little equipment storage facility and a training place for employees. So most of his stores are in this area. There's a few up in by Port Huron, Michigan, but most of them are concentrated out here. So this is next to the Kia dealership on 20. We're splitting out the vacant parcel next to them to the west. And Kia's here, I believe it's
so just for a quick correction, the Toyota dealer,
Toyota.
because the Kia dealer on the north side of the street,
Right.
and I think it's kind of landlocked.
So, yeah, alright. And so we have all this vacant land here, they're gonna split it off, and, they found Jim found them, and they like to develop it.
I have a lot of questions, a ton of them. I'm looking at the very first new business determination form. He has a parcel of 177-001. There's no such parcel. Where is that parcel?
Well, I just took it off the survey.
It's been split with the county already.
Everybody split it?
You have paperwork that shows that?
So, if, the one thing I would say with this, as far as parcel, I don't know if they were gonna acquire that parcel, but the lot that was Mega Automotive, which I think is what this lot is, right next to the Toyota dealer, was never part of the Toyota dealer.
So is that lot where the car dealer is?
I think it's on the west.
Cause it showed the one drawing.
Was that piece of property that was owned by Bozak, correct?
Yes.
Was that purchased by Lake County? Lake
What was
County-
that trust,
That was Bozak, this is Lake County Trust.
with the trust. And,
Lake County Trust, is that correct?
yes, Lake County Trust.
So that's a different, that's.
So it's owned by Bob Kerr, it's not owned by Bozak, that's separate, separate.
Well,
Well, that's where we have to sit on that. So,
we have Lake County Trust on here, which is that piece.
Yeah.
This piece is where you want to put the property. I have different drawings in here.
we're going on this part.
You're coming in there, driveway, you're going this way.
But your building is here.
No, that's part of the dealership.
That's the old garage with the.
So they're putting in an existing entrance,
Yeah,
this was my bad.
that,
This is the.
yeah, but they're going west.
Yeah, yeah, I
That
like that.
driveway here, that garage you
Yeah.
just saw is that here tonight.
Did you
So
buy the whole parcel?
This parcel? Yes.
The whole-
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a question, did anybody? We have all kinds of stuff around here, did anybody do a wetlands delineation on it?
This whole test. We had soil borings done. I looked on the county maps, I did not see a wetland delineation on any county maps.
Okay. Well, okay, that's fine, as long as you didn't.
But, you know, I don't know if that's sufficient.
Well, we're working with stuff on the other side, and it's all,
Yes,
and someplace, I don't know where it's at, there's a tile that runs across. From Old Porter, under Old Porter. To the ice pond. And it might be farther down, I'll have to go look tomorrow.
so I can tell you that there's an existing, just from being out there with a situation the other day, that it's closer to Lions Drive. So, yeah, so, I mean, it's likely to run through that property, but I think it's not gonna be in the building envelope of what that is.
Of what this one is.
Correct,
Okay,
cause you can see it when you go on, goes up to 20.
well, you used to be able, before they kept building it up, when the hump was on Old Porter Road. And then, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, they had it caving in from the railroad tracks and they had to. Cause it drains everything from my house down the track, all the way under there and to the ice pond. Okay,
What is the actual parcel number? Is it 1 or is it 4? Or 5? I'm sorry, 5. That's what, the first thing that caught my eyes, there's no such parcel as 17701.
one,
Well,
in big letters, the dealership parcel 2, but I don't know what their serial number is. It's just parcel number. I don't know who made that up, so like I said, it's to be.
the county does.
it's in
The county assigns those numbers.
Yeah, all right,
002 is the Toyota dealer. 004 is the vacant lot, if you wanna call it that, where the used to be the used car dealership. And 005 is the one that the county trust owns. And that's where you're gonna put your Taco Bell.
okay, well, maybe that needs to be corrected.
What does the state of Indiana have to say about entrances and exit and turn lanes and egress and?
We haven't approached the state highway department yet, although there is an existing curb cut, we're just gonna widen it. Cause it's narrow.
The existing
There's a cut there already?
The existing entrance is through Mega Automotive, used to be the car dealer.
Yeah,
That is the entrance that would feed this. So there is an existing entrance.
How many entrances off of 20 do you propose?
Just the existing one.
Just the existing one,
Wow.
additional?
And nothing off Old Porter.
Well, the question is it possible to get an entrance off Old Porter?
I prefer not.
What's the
traffic volume anticipated?
You know, number nine, yes.
Somewhat historical,
My experience with the Taco Bells, we get about 300 cars a day. And the high volume is about 400 cars a day.
what's the peak, like,
Peak time,
volume? in
peak time, we don't have peak time like a lunchtime, it's like McDonald's. Our main business is late night. Most people like Taco Bell food late night.
I like Taco Bell food anytime.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it, but that's how our sales trend is. I mean, we can supply you with actual data of sales by every hour, we can provide you. So,
It's 330 minutes different than 330 hours.
I do not have any store that Taco Bell has a competition for if you can eat 100 cars in an hour. None of my stores come anywhere up with it. The best stores I have, the highest ones, they do about 50 to 60 cars for during that lunch.
Well, we're not proposing any driveways off of Old Porter Road at this time.
And then,
The future plans for the rest of the site are
Measure just the distance
That's up to-
nothing planned.
from,
So,
Okay, because the rest of the site, I don't think there's another road cut
where they want to put their.
for the rest of the site, right? There's not another one there, it's just up, and you realize that we don't control the road cuts,
right,
yes,
yeah.
I got it.
right?
My concern is how close it's gonna be to the stoplight. People turning left off of westbound 20. To get Taco Bell when there's trucks stacked up waiting for, heading east, going to the pilot. Between two trucks and in the traffic. Just heading east in the right hand lane. Right here. I'm just saying, I know. There's no, I'm just, you see some roads, like,
Right here, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, so there's a fire right there, it's stop right there, the front of Toyota. I think it's,
Right, where
is it
this-
going where the used car was or next to that?
Next to that, so this,
okay.
There's a double entrance right there. so-
Yeah, okay. I'm like, I need a visual.
Yeah, I thought it was closer.
We're four
Yeah,
hundred
that's
feet,
why I'm like, going, where's the entrance? Okay, I see the entrance.
we're 400 feet from the stoplight,
okay,
which seems like a lot, that's not a lot. When there's trucks in both lanes, and people wait and turn left in the Taco Bell or, from westbound 20. I don't know what state's gonna say about it. It's all, it'd be a busy establishment with no turn lane on Highway 20, no egress or nothing. That's what concerns me.
I mean, we all get approved from IDOT.
yeah, I think ultimately that would be,
An IDOT for the work we're going to do, so, it's in their hands.
yeah, I mean, so in this case,
In that,
In
I think he's working in multiple states,
Yeah.
so. But I understand what you're saying, but I also understand that there is an existing entrance there, so while the volume is probably the concern,
Should
but
have been
at the same time, it's not like they're asking for something new, it's just gonna be a matter of And ultimately, if Indiana Department of Transportation says it's okay and it meets their guidelines, I don't know that we have any other say in that matter, do we, Clyde?
Probably not, I just.
No, and I guess the other thing to consider, and I don't know if the car dealership would like this, but there appears to be access from the car dealership and
At the stoplight.
customers could
Well, that's, I guess,
get to and from the Taco
That'd be-
Bell through the car dealership lot and get to the.
I think that would be the town of Burns Harbor, taking property for a road.
No, not taking property, I mean, right now existing, it's, you know, you could get
Right.
from the entrance that exists
Right,
through the parking lot.
right, but that's owned by Toyota.
I understand, unless Toyota does some sort
Crossover
of gate.
easement with the dealership?
Yes,
Yeah, there is a crossover
easement.
easement in place with the dealership.
Yeah, and it's a stoplight right there.
Well, I don't think you want people going to the
You're talking
dealership.
about- we're talking about two different
Well, at
things.
least here.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about, there's the parking lots connect with no barrier, at least what's shown here.
Well, yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
but there's, the next entrance down is a stoplight.
I agree, that's what I'm saying, I don't know if the car dealership would appreciate a bunch of traffic through their property to and
Or
from.
you'd have to work something out with them.
I guess I heard from you guys a little bit about Old Porter, but what is the issue with doing a rear exit on the Old Porter?
Trucks. That road is falling apart, you can't handle it. And just car traffic, no problem, but you get delivery trucks. You know,
Right.
we got a problem now with 1.9 going to the Blues. They just go further, I can see that happening. That road is a money pit. It's a 1 mile road that services.
Right, but so we just approved and allowed a business to just go in there and put a rear exit on Old Porter Road. I guess my question is, why would we not allow it in this situation? Like, what would be the difference in the,
What's the volume
What's
of
the
traffic?
traffic volume? Yeah.
It's not.
well, we're not talking about 300 to 400 cars coming in on the rear exit off of Old Porter Road. They're not gonna drive all the way around.
And we're open
We're just talking about relieving some
18
local
hours a
traffic.
day.
Your concern was safety.
My concern is safety to exit, getting to the Taco Bell on Highway 20 if you're heading west. People heading west, people in the summertime from out of town stopping to get gas and I have McDonald's or I can go to Taco Bell.
Right.
And turning between trucks to stop, waiting to go into the pilot. But I understand what you're saying, the state has a say in that. And the only way we can prevent
It's their
that,
highway.
Right,
the only way to prevent that is with a service road on the south side of Highway 20, but that would require a town acquiring property through a dealership and through the vacant lot and that whole stretch. So don't wind up, you're a good example, like Indian Boundary Road. There's a driveway every 100 feet. And people going everywhere. Because once that goes there, what's gonna go next to it? Or fast food.
Anyone else have anything from the entrance?
I mean, I understand what he's saying, but I think, you know, look what they just had to do at 6 and 149 with all those, you know, little plastic things so that people would stop turning left into the gas stations once the Casey's went in. I mean, it's unsafe. There's tons of intersections around here that have those similar type of issues and you just gotta be careful, I guess. Go further down, turn around and come back and enter in from the other direction, but the rear entrance wouldn't, I don't think would solve any issue with that, because you're not gonna go all the way to the light, come all the way back to the border to come in the back, and you're not, you know, out of town, if you go to turn.
No, I get that. I'm just saying that I know as a local resident that if there was a rear entrance off Old Porter, there's no way that I would go mess with the US Highway 20. And I know that probably anybody else that was from the area that knew that was there, they would use that as well.
Yeah.
So while it may not solve all of that, I mean, if you have all your local traffic going a different way, I mean, because there would be an option, in my mind, it alleviates some of it. You can't tell me it won't.
No, it will, but the biggest problem being in the summertime with downtown people, it gets very, very busy during the weekends. which I'm sure he's anticipating that to support his expense. Like I said, that'd be great to use a stoplight, so that if I owned Toyota, I'd say, no, you're not gonna use my parking lot for a road. The town probably has the ability to acquire property to put a road in, it'd be expensive. The service road rather than using Highway 20 to access everything.
I think it's a moot point until they find out from what INDOT says they can do. And
I think that's the biggest thing, is just making sure that NDOT allows it based on the essence of traffic data. I think that's the main issue with it. If that works, then
or what they consider is not an alternative, but what they would consider what is safe for them. You know, it might be the yellow sticks, I don't know. But let's go from there, but that's a.
so you had brought up one other thing, if we're done with the traffic. So I'm guessing our town would consider your training facility as what would be a, let's set back for attached accessory building.
It's gotta be an accessory building.
So it says setbacks, it says setbacks for attached accessory building.
Yeah, let me read it.
That's what it says right there. Pretty exciting. Basically, we're having a question whether or not the setback for the secondary building would be okay with where it is, or whether or not it would have to be bumped back or not.
Something about that.
All detached accessory buildings shall be behind. So what we do have is it says all detached accessory buildings shall be behind the rear principal building line.
Behind the rear principal building.
So it has to be behind.
I thought it was
I thought it was supposed
behind the front of the building,
to,
right?
yeah, it says all detached accessory buildings shall be behind the rear principal building line. That doesn't make sense.
No. That's what I thought it was, as long as it wasn't. You put your
I
garage,
thought-
you couldn't have it in front of your house.
Right. So we might have to check on that, just the placement of it. I think, like, I agree with him, I think it's supposed to be to where it just can't extend in front of the primary building, but.
That's the way I interpret it as well.
So we can move it back.
Right, we just like, these are all the little things before everything else is complete and we can work through
Yeah,
it.
you have private property, you could put that accessory building in it, but not this way, but
Yeah,
this way.
yeah, not a problem. Whatever's required. Okay, we'll make it work.
We gotta get the parcel corrected. It's
Yeah, we'll do
a
it.
minor, we just have to have it
Just
correct,
find out.
we have to have it correct on it.
Okay.
I don't see anything about facade or anything that looks. Glass, plating and everything. That Taco Bell, what you're gonna get.
We just opened, December 22nd in, Hebron,
Hebron, Indiana, okay.
and this is the same building.
Okay, so the one that you're gonna put up is like, at least the main building is the same as what we could see in Hebron if we were to go there?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
do we need to wait until they have approval through NDOT? Or would we be more enough to have them potentially get plans together to be able to have Shem start reviewing them to see if there's any other issues with the site plan?
Combination of both, to me, I think we need to have it in that, look at the entrance. And then our engineer to look at your layout, which probably, now. What are you gonna do for sewage? Is there a sewer line down that way?
I believe
And
that's-
water?
Yes.
Yeah,
There's water there. Is there a sewer line there? On the south side? What do you call it? It's got a mound system right behind there.
Yeah, at Mega? Or what used to be
Well,
Mega?
Mega,
I have to look, I have to.
there's a big mound system right there. It shows it in the drawing.
I have to look at the drawings in a row.
Well, both
There's
the
like a
Ford
garage.
dealer and Toyota dealer
And there-
have access.
Well, they do, but it don't stretch the whole length of Old Porter Road. I'm trying to think of the lift station where it goes. Does it go to 1.9 Old Porter Road?
Well, there's one that comes out of,
I'd have to look at the drawings in there.
there's a lift station right there, and there's a lift station on both ends of Old Porter
Yeah, I know.
right there.
Um,
So they gotta have some type of sanitary sewer there. It's coming out of Tommy's subdivision.
I'm thinking, don't hold me to this, that Pilot and the dealerships wind up on the Porter Road right there. And it gets pumped to 1.9, I gotta look at the maps,
Mhm.
but Shem will look at that, Shem will tell us,
Right,
drainage.
that's,
We'll have the city engineers to work with
right,
our civil
Right.
engineer.
I just didn't want. I don't know if there's. You know, that was the dealerships were there before the
Yeah.
town put sewers in, so that's why they have a mound system back of that garage back there. There's a big mound system right there, I would say, and
You mean for septic?
yes,
Okay.
it's right on, it's on one of your drawings here.
And it's on page 7,
Mhm.
parcel 2.
It's right behind that old garage back in there.
It's the property where your shared entrance
Right,
would be with.
Yeah, right.
right. But that's another thing, we'd have to look at what, and I can't imagine they're gonna use much sewage in that because
No,
there's just people coming in, going to the bathroom, there's nobody taking showers, there's nobody
no.
doing this and doing that in there, not washing too much stuff or whatever.
So I guess my question is, besides for the few things that we've talked about here, do you anticipate making any significant changes to these drawings or? I mean, other than obviously whatever would be required, or is it pretty set in stone that this is kind of?
Other than the site plan and, you know, moving the accessory building back, it's not much gonna change. As far as the floor plan and elevations and the buildings, that's pretty much it. I mean,
There's no change in that
no change in that.
from one.
I think with that, I think we should send what we have to Jim at Global. And see if he can identify any potential issues we might have. And that way, we find out now rather than later.
Sure.
That way, if there is an issue that may need a minor correction or something, that we can get that addressed.
And meanwhile, we'll work within that to get the entrance
Right.
worked out.
But we need that in writing from that,
Yeah, sure, yeah.
please.
Yeah, I think that would be the big thing. Jill, can you send those documents and maybe forward this gentleman's contact information, just in case Jim needs to contact him direct?
Yep.
That way, if there are any suggested changes or anything else that they can be addressed without making it meeting after meeting after meeting.
Okay.
Is there anything else anybody
Thank
has
you.
on this? Anything you think of? Workshop, is there anything?
The building orientation seems to be proper, you know, the side and front. And it's pretty
I mean, the
much-
building looks,
Yeah,
I like the building, it looks,
I mean, you get what you get with the Taco Bell, obviously you can't change a whole heck of a lot on it.
no, yeah, like new commercial construction, like on a lot of these
That's like
restaurants is
The Ford
honestly,
dealer, the
really
Nissan
nice.
dealer, they
Yeah.
send them what you're gonna look like and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what you build.
If you have an investment choice.
What's the question, if I can, what's the I guess the extent that's the training facility? Can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. I have 11 Taco Bells in this area. And right now, we don't have any place where we can train them. When we try to train them inside the restaurant and so on, a lot of mistakes are made, especially new employees, and they get frustrated, they quit within a week or 2 weeks because, so we want to see if we can bring them in a training center, create the atmosphere, but without the customers. So that there is no pressure about the timing and they try to listen and learn. And that's what we're trying to do.
So you'll bring people, sorry, I didn't mean to jump on your question. So you'll bring people from all of the, when you hire somebody in Michigan, you'll bring them here
Well,
for training?
Michigan, no.
Just in,
Michigan might be a
just
little
in,
far.
Just a
this,
second.
it's not bad.
And the new employees, especially new employees, we
Okay,
bring them here first. But let them teach them what we can for about 1 week. And then we put them inside the store, they'll feel a lot more comfortable.
Okay.
And these days, it's very hard to get the employees and it's so impossible to retain them. So we're trying to find ways how we can do those things.
that sounds like a great idea. I don't,
Okay.
to take the question.
Do you have, so do you have a training facility like this at any of your other stores?
No.
No? Okay,
We have to put them
I love that idea, I think
on
it's cool.
and
Or prototype.
I mean, there's a
I'm
lot
okay.
of training online, but online is strictly online.
Right,
I got one other question. What's your store hours?
Store hours varies in summer and winter. We like to open 6 in the morning. And we must stay by Taco Bell standard, open till midnight. There is the minimum, Taco Bell says that we can open at 7 in the morning. But we must stay open till midnight, because Taco Bell does more business on night than we do during the day.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what it was.
But
It wasn't
Couple of
24
my
hours.
stores are open late,
Mhm.
they're open till like a weekend till 2
It's good
o'clock.
for me. Okay,
I guess my last question, you don't have to answer this if you shouldn't answer this. What's the implication with this Taco Bell going in here in Burns Harbor with one?
In Ameriplex,
No, I was actually gonna say the one that's in Travel America North. Or is it because that one is not a standalone store?
that is correct.
Okay,
Before Taco Bell were not doing it, I was looking at this site 5 years ago. And Taco Bell says, no, it's a little over a mile. And, but the truck stop restaurants are dying. They're like at exit 15, Travel America, those restaurants are gone. McDonald's moved out, their own sitting restaurant, sitting place restaurant. They had to close down Country Kitchen. They closed down there. So they're like, it's a dying breed.
okay.
And
I was just curious.
finally Taco Bell says, yes, we can go there.
Outstanding. Anybody got anything else?
And then the one in exit 19, Ameriplex Plaza, that's mine.
Oh, that's your
And-
stuff too, okay.
And there is some impact on that. We'll lose some sales over there, but we put all the numbers together.
It's all of us, we'll all come to this one now instead of going there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Did you guys have any other questions for us?
Yes. As far as your landscape ordinance, I was wondering if, I don't know, I didn't study it religiously, but, as far as quantities based on road frontage, can we just go from here to here instead of from here to here? I don't, you probably want some right away, trees, you know?
I think it would just be,
This is heavily wooded to begin with.
right,
And so, but we do
trying to think of
plan
another
on,
example that would be,
And if that's your place there, just because. I See a problem with that.
How is-
And now, if you're gonna put another business
Is that all one?
Yes.
down,
So
That's
then
to the
developed,
question
yeah.
that
about-
comes into.
understood,
Back to the earlier question about the plat, which piece of property is it? Are we talking? Are they subdivided or is it all one?
this
It's,
is all 1 5-acre parcel.
okay, so that. As far as maintenance of that property. I think there are some implications there, if I'm not mistaken.
It's heavily wooded and
I
shrub.
understand that, yeah,
We don't intend to, you know, not our intent to strip it. We're just
understood,
gonna, develop up to here.
understood.
I think I might have to look into our code a little bit and see.
Leave the rest natural, so. And then what other we need for our septic, stormwater, whatever, so.
So that engineering company will tell us all that.
They'll have a lot of input on that, yes,
Well, Shem will have a lot of input.
yeah,
I know you can't look into the future, what's your plans on to the west of Taco Bell?
Right now, we don't have any plans whatsoever, because we just bought it
Right.
last week. And but eventually, we have to do some study and get some advice on what we can really put there, whether apartment complex or some other business or what can we, but I don't know what the town needs and how we can help each other. Right now, I don't, but we'll do this study and do something with that eventually.
My other question would be stormwater. Is there a direct outlet or do we have to retain?
Our engineer will tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Shem
there will be a retention pond with the size of the parking lot, and lot coverage.
Okay.
well,
Yeah,
I guess my only question to that, when you're talking about lot coverage, is they're not covering very much of the lot when you.
No.
You know, that's why I asked my question about what they plan, future plans are, should this be subdivided already for that piece, for that little parcel? Because, it could be an issue.
Something perhaps.
Well, we have plenty of room to work with.
Okay.
But when it comes to the stormwater stuff, Shem's it'll be very helpful, I'm sure he'll have plenty of input when it comes to that.
Okay.
Do we have the business contact detail?
For Shem?
Yeah.
I'll give that to them.
Yeah, if Jill is gonna draft an email providing whatever documents that we have now to them, she'll include you, whoever wants to be included in the email. That way you guys can have a little bit of direct contact. That way, if he has questions, we can work through them and try and expedite the
We
process
can
as
set
opposed
some
to,
time.
as opposed to us getting a question tomorrow and saying, all right, well, I'll ask you in a month. Like, we don't want to delay it to that point. We've had some issues in the past, but we like to help you through it as quickly as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
I think it's really conference, not related to this. I'm the planning commissioner for Waterford Township, Michigan. We start our meetings at 6.
Okay.
We have a pre-meeting at 5 in the conference room, and then go down at 6 and have a public meeting.
Thank you.
So 6 o'clock is good for you then?
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
so 6 o'clock is good.
Outstanding. Well, that will be our meeting time in the future. It'll be 6 P M. So circling back to old business, town code chapter 15, temporary use permit, construction trailers. Any thoughts? Don't like anything? The definition, that's kind of, you guys like put it together based on a modification of.
I'll email you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Anybody has anything in this, I think now would be the time before we send it to the attorney.
Here's the question I have. Steve, about the utility requirements for manufactured mobile homes. We covered the mobile, do you feel that covers the mobile office trailers? In B, temporary building or structure? Across the road, that's a mobile office. Not a building, not a structure.
I guess I'm not playing the question, like what? I'm sorry, I'm looking at, so are we looking at the new B and the new C?
Yes.
Okay. So the new B for the permanent expiration. Yes,
No problem with that.
okay,
But then I get the utility requirements for manufactured mobile homes. Is that gonna be considered a mobile office? So
Used to have
do we need
manufactured
to
mobile homes up here.
specify that?
And you took out that language and changed it to the, construction.
temporary building and structure.
So down here, maybe just manufactured homes was more related to people. They got,
Gotcha.
so I think maybe just that language.
So is that like, so under the utility requirements, is your suggestion like kind of getting rid of the manufacturer of mobile homes and using our verbiage of temporary building or structure for construction purposes? Because if so, that's probably just an oversight on my part.
Maybe,
Because at this point, all the mobile home stuff's gone, right?
right. If we can somehow put utility requirements for a mobile office used for sales. Yeah, you have, yes, you have to have electric and water and sewage.
Seems like up here.
I know a lot of developments use a home for an office.
That, I think it's the same down here, just put temporary building structure for construction. It's probably just got missed in that one.
I think a lot of this was put in there for that backyard
Right,
trailer,
for that.
to move your grandma and grandpa or mom and dad in there.
I mean, I think if like, if I'm understanding Gordon correctly, if we're talking about trailers for temporary sales stuff, I think that's, like, there's nothing in here that applies to that. I mean, we
Do
have,
we need to discuss here, we go to A, up to A1, very top. Do we need to change that temporary building or structure or mobile office? Then I really see a building put up for a development or for a construction project.
well, it says to an applicant to use a temporary building or structure for construction purposes as a construction office.
I'm just asking, should we have it? This says a mobile office. I never seen them up on the ground. They have a little office trailer they pull in. flip up locks, and there you go.
So it's to read temporary building, structure, or mobile office.
And down below where the mobile is used as a sales office. Yes, they have all the water and electric and sewer.
But doesn't the definition of temporary
But
building or
if-
structures clear that up?
If we're talking about a temporary sales office, we need to have language in here that applies to it, because right now there's nothing, that would just be under utilities, there'd be no circumstances that outline allowing that. Like, that's another rabbit hole that we're just not, that this doesn't even touch.
Yep.
And I think at that, I think where would we? Like,
It may never come up because there's not a whole lot of property left, well, there is a lot, I shouldn't say that. There's quite a few large, very large parcels.
But is sales a temporary use per se? On a repeated basis, even?
I don't think so.
I say up top, need a mobile office there, just to. You know, it's not.
so are we changing the term then? Because the term is defined, if we are gonna change the term, then we need to. If we're adding mobile office to the temporary building or structure for construction purposes, like, I don't know how long we wanna.
I mean,
That was the term that we had talked about last meeting, and I,
right, the definition says
Well, we can change
detached
it.
transportable building. I said that, and the definition says a detached transportable building, which would.
that has a
be-
primary use as a temporary office for construction purposes.
Yeah, I think that if you read A1 and needed further clarification, it's in the definition. And that's just the way that I'm reading it. Sometimes when have too many words, you overcomplicate the other
Oh,
way.
yeah, if you read this, it comes back and cleans that up.
So are we okay with it, short of me fixing under utility requirements, the manufacturer of mobile homes and changing it to our term of temporary building or structure for construction purposes?
Mhm.
That sound, sure, cause I clearly missed that, so.
So, question for the building commissioner. So manufactured and mobile homes have tie down procedures for securing them, correct? How would that be addressed in the event of if would the building department do that on an inspection?
Yeah.
Say if it were just a trailer.
There should be an initial tie down. And if they have an electrical service, that would be another inspection. And then after removal, there should be a cleanup, to make sure the site is clean, so I would suggest.
That's in here already. Upon removal, notification shall be made to the building commissioner to complete a post inspection.
I don't have the language.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
We talked about that already, but that could be on your permit for them, right? For them to get this temporary, when he has a permit, it should stay under, tied down. Mhm. And when they're done, you get a post inspection. That's right in here.
Alright, if, I mean, if everybody's good with it, then I'll edit that and then I will forward that.
Sounds good.
So there you go.
And the definition's okay. I added that a shipping container is not considered a temporary building or structure for construction purposes, to the end of the definition, just for clarification. Because I can see the loophole right now. Yeah,
I think last time somebody mentioned that on part of the application for a new permit, that is there a section that says like, will you be using a temporary, you know, structure, and then it kind of gets approved in this initial process of applying for everything? Or when does somebody tell you, I guess, that they're gonna need to put a trailer on? Do they know that up front, or is it like later when they say, oh crap, we need to throw a trailer out here, and then they come back to you?
is that usually part of the initial building permit that you get? Like if they wanted to use a temporary office like that?
Yeah. I think so.
I know that this one came a little bit late, but I think that was just the quickness that we moved with getting that project started, and we didn't really think it was going to, you know, the bats.
Good to the order, any other business? Jack has something that you
Yeah, I
want.
just wanted to, working with Chuck. We've had this situation before, a year, almost 2 years ago with the mill. They pulled permits for buildings or construction that they're doing in there, that they're supposed to do. And right now, presently, we have 3 permits that are out and it accumulate over 16 inspections. We're now asking for certificate of occupancy and we're done any of the inspections. There seems to be a lack of communications between the mill and Burns Harbor as far as getting inspections done. And I looked through the books a little bit, I want to work with Clay. There's really nothing in our code book that states that if somebody doesn't, I mean, yes, if they call for a CO, we're not gonna give a CO because they never gave the, we'll have a discussion at that point, but there's nothing in the code book that shows us that they have to, and so long after doing an inspection, they are required to call us about those inspections that they paid inspection fees for. So I'm trying to find out what would be the best avenue to open communications up, because Chuck, right now, Chuck doesn't even have in order to get on the mill, you have to have a pass, and we need to work on that and talk to Vaughn, who's been the person that's been in contact for Burns Harbor. And then there's a construction company that does the work inside the mill, and they're the ones that pull out the permits. And Vaughn is not responsible for calling for the inspection because he doesn't know where the construction company's at what point. But there's inspections that they got a building built already in there right now, from my understanding, that a foundation was poured, the walls are put up, some rough electrical's done, and not an inspection was done on it. So I don't know what the requirements are as far as commercial properties the town has the authority to do or not to do, and that's what I just wanted to look at that, as well as the fees that we charge for commercial inspections. I think that it's been quite a while since this town has looked at the fees, which there's a fee table right now. I just wanted to know if I could get together with somebody to work on this to see if there's an avenue that we can do to give them a verbal warning or something about getting these inspections done, so we don't have a building built in the middle. And then we're supposed to know whether or not the foundation is okay or anything underneath it that was done properly. So that was my question. I looked through the code book a little bit. On page, there's one. General penalty, section 1(9), under general penalty, it says failure to declare. I mean, the verbiage in there, I want to talk to somebody about it to see if there's something we can do to clarify and make sure that we've got a way of communicating. So
Where was that in the code book, Jack? I'm sorry.
it was on page 7 of, it was updated October 23rd, section 1(9), general penalty. It kind of relates to what I'm talking about, but I don't know if it relates to actual physically inspections that need to be done on a property. I mean, we also have that issue with sometimes with a home, people pull out a permit to remodel a home or even build a home, and they never call us for those inspections. And I have not found any language that we could do and say, hey, you never called for electrical inspection, you never called, I mean, Chuck's making what do you call it, once in a while, he goes to the property and looks at it to see what's going, what the progress of the property is going on. He has no way of doing that with the mill, and so I think on commercial avenue, and especially if we're talking about Taco Bell and all these other companies coming in, and all the buildings that are gonna go on commercialized, I think we need to just look at the language here and see if we have an avenue, that if somebody doesn't call for an inspection, then we have something that we can go back on and say, hey, you didn't call for electrical, you didn't call for foundation inspection, what do we do? I mean, do we just, if we go over there and bless the building and say, yeah, okay, it's good, and then a month later, 2 months later, there's a crack in the foundation or there's an issue with the building, that could come back and say, oh, well, I got, approval from Burns Harbor because it's been, but it was never inspected, so that's, I don't know if I need to look with Clay on the language on that, or how, that's my concern.
You got a good point about that, the mill, but these contractors out there, it's not their first building they're building.
Exactly.
They know what's required in every single town in this country, every state, city and state. And they choose not to call us. It'd be easy for them to put together a list. You need to call us at this point, this point, this point for an inspection, period.
That's how I'm looking for.
But they know that, and they choose not to call us.
But what can we do about it? That's the point. Do we want to do anything about it? My concern is looking out for the town that's going forward. The only reason I'm bringing this up is when I was building commissioner 2 years ago, I had to go do 25 inspections in the mill. These are buildings that were done 4 and 5 years ago that nobody ever followed up on, and all of a sudden somebody said, and that's also costing our tax dollars. It comes down to revenue from this town. If there's no CO put on the building, we don't receive the tax dollars for it because the building's never been completed according to the state law, state of Indiana. So this kind of needs to really look at a whole picture to see what we can do about making this a little more communication skills.
So, and I don't know what ramifications or what possibility there is. So are we thinking like creating a penalty that is conducive of making people call for these inspections?
Yes.
That way,
that's all basically
if they were to skip an inspection, it would financially be a burden on them. So that we don't have a completed building that we can't inspect stuff on. 'Cause I mean, like what you said, I mean, if you want to inspect the foundation, cool, take the building back off it so I can inspect the foundation.
Which isn't gonna happen.
But exactly. I guess we'd have to.
So is the hang up on certificate of occupancies or the inspections?
It's, well, the certificate of occupancy.
I think they always call for that because.
No, the ones that I did, every one of them, the 25 that I did 2 years ago were for certificate of occupancy.
Oh,
The problem with that is that you had 25 of them that we list as the year goes by, and I believe if it's once a year passes by, we can't go back and say, oh, now the building's done. Now we can get our state taxes from that. These buildings are created and there's money and income that the town of Burns Harbor isn't receiving because those are not completed. So there's 2 avenues here. One, the inspections that should be done as the building is being built. And the last one would be, they need to call for a CO. So there has to be something in, and I don't know if this paragraph, section 1.9 of general penalty falls into that language or not, of being able to go in and do it, because the penalty for that is $2,500 for any fine, for a fine not to exceed $2,500. And every day the violation is of this code or any ordinance, a regulation shall continue until it constitutes a separate offense. So I mean, there's language in here for somewhat, but it isn't specific. I just thought we should review
So
it.
you get a permit, does the permit expire?
Yeah.
And then we don't go when the permit
So-
expires to check on the status
So
of it,
the-
we just kind of let it go until they come back to us and are like, oh yeah, we have this project going on.
So the mill's a special entity though, like we don't have access as, like, completely separate from them. We as police don't have access to just go patrol the mills. Like if I need to go someplace in the mill, I'm escorted to that location. So you can understand the constraints that these gentlemen would have, they can't just go out there and willy-nilly look at stuff. But we need to figure out a way that through the building process that obligates these people to call for the electrical for the, and get these pre-inspections done, because then when he has to do a certificate of occupancy, he knows he's already done electrical, he's already done these other things that may not be accessible for him to inspect at that time. It's putting an unfair burden on our building commissioner and or inspectors to try and inspect this building properly, not to mention he's doing 5 inspections in lieu, in conjunction with this, where that work should have already been done.
So if they have a permit and the permit expires, why are we not following up? Because they haven't came to us to get a certificate of occupancy yet, so we know that they're not working, so is that the step that? That's one of the steps that we're missing is the follow-up, which is, there's obviously not a process in place for it. I'm just trying to think of what that process needs to be. Because we know that we can't count on them to contact us, so what do? You know, if they have a permit and the permit's good for, you know, a year, or however long they have the permit for based on, you know, whatever project they're doing. And by the time that permit expires, they're not coming to get the certificate of occupancy, then can't we put a stop work order and find them until they come, until they let us look? I mean, in order to gain access.
I think what you're suggesting is exactly what we need to do. We need to define a process and make sure our code reflects that. And I don't know, maybe that should be what we all kind of think on things that we would like to see and figure out a way to close any loopholes that we do have. Take over the next month and think about some things that we could potentially change. I would say fee wise, I don't work in the building department, I have no idea. I think getting an idea of what these commercial fees, what they'd like to be, I mean, rather than us just throw some random figures at it. Like if a certain community, if you guys have found dollar figures to go with those commercial, that could be a good starting point. I think that would be someplace rather than us just saying, let's make this $100.
Oh, no, I
don't know how to
my
do it.
intentions are to reach out to local towns and ask them what they charge for commercial inspections and kind of
Okay,
give us a basis of what to go on with our town here. That was one aspect, and like I said, but the most important one is that right now we're sitting with 18 inspections at the mill that have not been completed, and we're sitting on tax dollars. They pay for the inspections, and that's what, when it comes in, he reviews it and says, yeah, you're gonna need this inspection, this inspection, and Lori calculates all that according to the fee sheet. And then that fee is paid, and they pay that in order to get their permit to do the work, but they're not following through, calling for those inspections.
But on the permit application, is there a name, a number, an email? I mean, who's applying for these? So they're not calling us, but I think to kind of reiterate what Roseanne just said, we should be calling them. And sometimes if they're not, or if they're ghosting us, it's about getting in touch with, I know that before the council has dealt with government relations folks, there's been some turnover, you know, not just in people, but in ownership and, you know, management at the mill. But sometimes it's just getting a hold of the right person there who can, you know, and they have government relations folks or the government.
It has been done.
And they are reaching out, they do wanna meet, you know, I have an appointment to meet with Rayanne at the.
Yeah, Rand Trachis.
Yeah, at the end of February, so it'll be before we meet again, but I can, you know, definitely any questions that anybody here has that you want me to.
They're reaching out.
And it's more of like a tour, but you know, as the way that the council works, we have to, of course, do it in small groups, because we can't all go and meet together.
But just as they may want, you know, a phone list of who's the council, who's the clerk treasurer, what are the emails, who's the building commissioner, the fire chief. We should have a list of their people, who's the government relations, if we need to get on to do an inspection, who do we call, what's their email? And it's communication.
Oh, yeah, some of those have been done. We've contacted Vaughn, who is really the communication between Burns Harbor and the mill, and his answer to it was, well, we don't know when they're gonna be in what stage, so then he gives the contractor's name of the person that's doing the work at the mill, and to try and get a hold of that person, we haven't been able to, so that's how.
But the contractor reports to somebody at the mill to say,
Okay.
do this, this is done, we agree, and that's the person
That we need to,
should be
okay.
talking.
The contractor knows what's required for inspections,
Oh, absolutely.
period.
Yeah.
And all Chuck has to do is put together a list of the inspections required and give it to him. I need a phone call when this is ready. And when you anticipate, maybe when you anticipate being ready, so I can schedule it.
Okay.
otherwise they get missed. And you're right, it costs the town money, it doesn't generate money for the town when you put a $50 million building out there. It raises our assessed valuation and lowers our tax rate. And it boosts our bond capabilities. We don't bring in all the extra money to spend willy-nilly,
Right, well, I understand.
okay?
Right.
But it's a pretty simple situation to resolve, and these contractors know out there. Also take a shot, put together a list, these are the inspections required, and you'll call me. And when you anticipate it,
And if they don't call,
then you can call them. Who do I call?
that's what we're looking for.
It's,
Right, or stop work.
Okay.
I have no problem spending some time with you over the next month if you wanna
Okay, yeah.
go through code and if we're talking about looking for what penalties may apply and finding those
Okay,
specific areas.
super.
And then we can bring that back to everybody else as well. I think it's more about gathering information and getting a clear picture of what we can and can't do.
Is it feasible to say that we would want to ask the mill if we would be allowed to come in quarterly or even every 6 months, just to do a walkthrough inspection? Hey, that building was not here 3 months ago when I was here, like that kind of thing. Do you think that that would be something?
No,
I mean,
because
There's, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's just a dangerous place to be, and I think the more time you expose any of our employees out there, I think it's ridiculous. Believe me, it's
now you're
not.
scaring me because I have to go there.
I just wanted to add that Jack has a lot of good points, and I agree with him, but if your intentions are to send a Burns Harbor building commissioner or inspector in the mills, you better make sure that guy is qualified and knows what he's looking at. I happen to be that way, but maybe the next guy might not.
What next
That's
guy?
what I'm saying.
Ever.
I'm just saying, if that's your intention, to send an inspector, Burns Harbor guy in there, he better be a qualified guy.
Oh, great.
I mean, he has to know what he's looking for. Or it's a new point,
It's in there,
just saying.
and these are ducks in there, they're gonna laugh him out of the place.
you put something together on paper for each contractor, said, fill all the inspections. And hand it to them, you need to call us when this is ready. And get a timeline from the people, what will
I
happen.
need to talk to you.
But as far as going in for every inspection.
Okay.
Again,
It's not gonna hurt you wonder. I'm still very concerned after these gentlemen left about the property west of Taco Bell.
Control on site,
What's involved if the town decided to put a access road on the south side of 20? To eliminate
What, are you talking about
Is that the RDC, is it town council, is it us?
putting an access road that runs from where to where? I mean, are you talking about?
The stoplight west on the south side of 20, a 2-lane road. You see them everywhere.
The frontage road?
Yeah,
That one that's by the Strax and Belpo?
we laugh all you want. I can see this being a death trap right now, okay, with just Taco Bell. What if he wants to put a Burger King next to it, that's a lot of extra traffic, a lot of excess on Highway 20. Like, in your boundary, we're going 55 miles an hour instead of 30.
Who's going 30 on Indian Mountain?
Well, I'm just saying, that's the problem there. Look at Portage on Highway 20 right now. They took out the median west of 249. You can't tell where the lanes are. It's gone. When the interstate power came in down there. I just think we need to maybe look at that before they get all their plans together. I think.
Look at what, the traffic?
Pardon me?
Or are you talking about the potential of?
Oh, traffic and potential that West Town put the road in.
Maybe this guy wants to put a road in. We gotta ask him.
So we're not gonna help, unless it goes off the stoplight, it's not gonna help.
Hey, Clay, if we were to put a road in, I would assume that we would have to purchase the property, because we're talking about buying part of the Toyota dealership, buying part of this vacant parcel, and then connecting it to this one, I would assume that we'd wanna go all the way through their lot, because you're talking about future development.
Right,
So you're talking about us buying 3 parcels?
well, not whole parcel, strip it, the town can, I'm not saying take it, I mean, they can't say, I want $1 million for that, that's not the way it works. They get what is valued at, period. So it's a safety issue, that's a big chunk of property.
But you're.
You still have to send
Don't
it,
go through the
get it
process.
appraised.
Okay.
I guess my problem is this, is basically what your suggestion is, if you're gonna put a roadway all the way into that existing stoplight, you're gonna put a roadway in within the front parking of the existing dealership. That dealership wouldn't meet a setback from the roadway then. I think, like, now, if you were talking about extending and making that, and making them entrance from another way, ultimately, I think that's a DOT decision, whether or not they think it's something that's feasible. If we tell them they can't, we need to have a reason to be able to say why we can't. I think DOT would be the ultimate, like, us saying it, we're just saying it just because we think that.
Well, they're looking at one piece, they're looking at one business, where I'm looking at what he just told us, nobody's happened on there yet.
I think they're gonna look at it and say, okay, this is the one business, but you own all the rest of this place too, and they're gonna take that into consideration.
And I would hope so, something like that.
I think without their answer, I don't think there's not all we can do with it.
Move the entrance down to that end of that's another 100 feet away from the light, but.
Moving the bottom line.
then we're-
Anything else?
Make a motion with adjourn. Okay, you ready?
Motion?
Second, oh, Bernie, you got a second.
Okay,
Okay.
second.
Discussion? Roll call, Joe.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Travis Dunlap.
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yes.
Aaron Adcock.
Yeah.
Bernie Paparad,
Yes.
Jeremy McCart.
Yeah.